Hi, I'm Joyce Sorelli, Dean of High School Academies and Dual Enrollment. Welcome to our Grit series. Today we're going to join some High School Academy students and talk about their experience in the academies, and then we're going to hop on with Ryan Shazier, and he's going to talk to you all about grit. Please don't forget to stay on, because following Ryan's portion, we're going to have a live Q&A, so you can ask Ryan some questions and get some insights on the academies, Ryan's experience, and what's important in this process. Thanks, and stay tuned.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us here today. Today I'm here with Evan Barton. Evan is a graduate of our CCBC Aviation Academy. Evan, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about what brought you to the CCBC Aviation Academy.
So I think I was in 10th grade and there was a sign up for a field trip to tour the academies. And the first one they did was the Aviation Academy. And then it was a different day. They went and did like all the other ones up at main campus. And I went to the aviation one. And I really, at that point in time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Everybody had always like told me engineering or something, like, so that's what I was, going for. But like when I went to the Aviation Academy and, we went and toured the flight schools and the Aviation Science Center, it really like got me super interested in aviation. And from there I took a discovery flight, and yeah, I just knew that's what I wanted to do.
Very cool. What was it about aviation that really ignited that passion for you?
Like I've always like wanted to do something where I wasn't like sitting at a desk all day. So and just being able to be in the sky for your career and get paid to do something that's like super fun was like really interesting to me. So that's like pretty much why I went with it. So, and the lifestyle of a pilot, you know what I mean, getting to travel and everything. So
yeah, very cool stuff. And why was it you started in high school, right? You were at Lincoln High School, right?
Yeah, I started in 11th grade at the CCBC Academies. Yeah.
What was that experience like, balancing high school with your college studies?
It was good. I mean, for me, it really wasn't very difficult. I didn't, struggle with it at all. I'm good at managing my time. I mean, it wasn't super difficult. You only do one class a day, so it's not like super crazy difficult or anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have it pretty like figured out over there, and it just gets better every year from what I hear. So
awesome, very cool. And so you started while you're still in high school, and how far into the aviation program are you now?
I'm almost done at CCBC. I just have to take one class this fall, and it's
congratulations.
Yep, thanks. It's just a physical science class, and then the rest are just my flying classes, which aren't really classes. It's just getting your ratings, So yeah, I'll be wrapping up with CCBC here in the fall.
Very cool. And so where do you see yourself then long term? What's your long-term goal?
Well, I'd like to work for like a commercial airline like Delta or American or one of those eventually. But, I'll have to start flight instructing first to build up the time. But there's a pretty big demand for pilots right now. So
yeah, without a doubt.
Too long. So
yeah. And so one of the themes for today's session with Ryan is talking about guts and having the guts, to do what you have to do, when it's not so easy. And it's definitely not easy, going through college and supporting yourself to get through that process. Talk a little bit about what you've done to get through there and make your dreams possible here at CCBC.
So whenever everything started last year with COVID, I was in the CCBC program and I was flying, and it's very, very expensive. Not so much the CCBC portion, like that's very cheap compared to some of these other schools, but the flying is really the expensive part. And so I was pretty much doing whatever I could. I was applying for scholarships. I ended up winning a $10,000 scholarship from AOPA, which helped out a ton. Yeah. But then when all this COVID stuff went down and we were stuck at home, I didn't have to go to high school. They were shocked. They didn't know what to do. There was no plan. So I was at home and I was doing my CCBC courses online. So I decided, I was just going to start cutting grass. So all the money I had saved, I went and bought a truck, a trailer, all the lawn equipment. And I started with like 5 yards. And then in like less than a month, I was up to like 40. It just like kind of was out of control, and I just kind of did it full time all summer last year, and I'm doing it again this summer. So
Very cool. So doing whatever you had to do to make your dreams possible.
Yep. And I've done it all debt free so far. So
that's fantastic.
Yep.
Very cool. And how old are you?
19.
So 19, almost finished with your associate degree here at CCBC.
Yep.
And just have a few hours left to complete your flight training.
Yep.
And what would you say to other students who may be considering getting involved in the academies? Why is it so important to get started early?
Well, I think it's super important to get started early because, like, you're just so much more ahead than everybody else. I'm ahead of some kids that are like 2 years older than me, 3 years older than me. And especially when you're being a pilot, it's very good to get in early, start your career early. You'll just make so much more money in the long run. Get more seniority, especially being a pilot. If you stay, longer you're at a company, the better,
Yeah. And talk about that. So you've been able to do that. You're 19, almost done. You said you've done it debt free.
Yep. I have no loans.
And the career prospects are pretty good for a pilot. What's kind of career outlook for pilots in terms of compensation and pathway there?
Well, at first, your first job isn't paid real well, but you stick around for a couple of years, it goes up significantly, pretty quickly. And I mean, there's guys, working at those big airlines, that are getting close to retire. They're making close to $500,000 a year, and when you have that much seniority, you're not working like the young guys are,
Absolutely.
So, all that. So, looking forward to it.
Very cool. Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate you sharing your story with us here as a part of our Grit series with Ryan Shazier. And congratulations on all your great work here in the high school academies.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we'll continue on with the rest of the program coming up next.
Thank you for joining our program. At CCBC, high school academies are meant to help you develop your pathway and move forward into a high-demand career path. You can get up to 1 year of college by the time you graduate high school. Isn't that amazing? So what we do is we have 5 separate academies. We have aviation, we have health, we have STEM, we have criminal justice, and we have the Mascaro Construction Academy. These are opportunities for you to move into high-demand career fields. It's really exciting. You can get your 1 year of college by the time you graduate high school and then move on into the 2-year associate degree programming. Students join us twice a day, so they can join us either in the morning or they can join us in the afternoon for about a 2-hour session where they start doing their classes with our college professors at CCBC. We're very excited to have this opportunity to do this. We've done it both in person prior to COVID, and during COVID, we had a virtual imagery and way that we work with our students, so you can join us on that platform and join us in a safe environment. We are so excited to have these programs to offer to you and to help students in our community. I'd like you to hang on and get ready, and we're going to start into the next portion of the program.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm here at CCBC with Ryan Shazier. Thanks so much for joining us, Ryan.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit about guts and grit today. Talk a little bit about grit and what that means to you and why it's so important.
Yeah, for me, grit is pretty much overcoming any obstacle, but in that crucial moment. Like I said before, to me, grit is like finals week. When you're trying to figure everything out, cram everything, but not just cram, but just get everything you need to get done in the crucial moments. And that's how we felt with the game. When it's the crucial moment of the game, fourth quarter, a big moment of the game, somebody has to make a play. Somebody has to do what they have to do, but you have to grind through it. And it's normally the toughest moment, but a lot of times it can be very satisfying and fulfilling.
Yeah. So one of my favorite sayings is, quit when you're done, not when you're tired, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about kind of that mentality, how that connects to whether you're in the classroom, going through courses, or on the field.
Yeah, when you quit when you're tired, you always have resentment. You always hate, and always feel like, man, I wish I could have did better. I always wish I could have spent more time on this. But if you finish things out when you're actually done, then you can get to what you want to get to. It might be a few hours later, it might be a few days later, it might be a few weeks later, but at the end of the day, you're gonna feel satisfied knowing that you finished what you wanted to finish. You achieved your goal, and you actually push through.
Continuing ahead instead of kind of quitting before you get through that path. So we're talking about the end point, right? You get to that end destination, but sooner or later you got to start.
Yeah.
You got to take that first step to get there, and get on that pathway to ultimately wherever you want to go. Talk a little bit about that, taking that first step and moving forward with whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that I'm not the type to stick my toe in the pool. I'm the type to dive off the diving board.
Yeah.
So whenever there's something new, I jump in head first, and then like, hey, I'm figuring it out on the way there. And I think that's a good way to actually to get started. But then once you get started, you're finding your way through. You're grinding your way through, and you're actually understanding what you're getting into. I think sometimes when you're very hesitant about, hey, what's about to happen? What am I going to do next? And thinking about everything that's coming up with what you're about to get into, that causes people to be more afraid or more tempting to try something. But when you just dive in here first and then, hey, I'm already wet, you might as well figure out how to swim. So I think, to me, I feel like that's the best way to go forward.
Awesome. And I think another big piece of this is courage, right? You got to have courage to jump in and take that step. Talk to me about a time when you had courage to do something that you knew was the right thing, but wasn't the easy thing to do.
I don't try this at home. So one of the things I did, I would recommend, this isn't with school, but one thing that I did, I knew it was the right thing to do. I actually went skydiving before.
Cool.
And I went with my best friend. She's kind of a nervous Nancy, but that's something that she always wanted to do. And when we went together, I was the first one to jump out of the plane. So I was like, hey, if anybody die, I'm gonna die first. So, but I didn't mean it like that. But I thought it was the right thing to do because I just understood that, hey, she needed some motivation to help her achieve something that she's always wanted to do. And I always wanted to do it, but it wasn't like a bucket list thing for me. But I understood me jumping out and jumping into the pool first made her feel more comfortable and allow her to be open to doing something that she wanted to do, but she was very nervous of doing. So that's an extreme of the matter. But I definitely feel that for me, it took a lot of courage to jump out of a plane and go skydiving. But also, for me, it takes courage. For when I was playing, it took courage for me to go up against one of my coaches or say, hey, I've been studying this, and I think we should try this instead of trying that. And I think sometimes that takes courage because obviously the coaches study a lot of film and know what they're doing also, but it also takes courage for them to understand that you do the same thing and know that, hey, you must be looking at something that you feel comfortable enough to be courage enough to come out and tell me, hey, coach, I don't think this is the right thing. Let's try this.
Yeah. So the important thing, did she follow you out of the airplane or did she just let you jump?
Nah, she followed me.
Okay, there you go. So talk a little bit about fear, right? And I think it's one of the things, if somebody sees you, you're Pro Bowl, linebacker, you're probably never scared of anything.
Yeah.
It's probably not true, right? You've experienced fear and you've had to have courage to come through.
Yeah, I definitely experienced fear. My biggest fear is snakes, and I hate them. If I see them, I can see them in like a exhibit, and it's like I'm walking out. But I've definitely been scared of other things. For me, like it was scary being a father at first. Because at the end of the day, you have control of another person's life, and have no experience at it. For me, it was actually scary going all the way to Ohio for school when I stayed in Florida.
Yeah.
I was very close to my family, very tight-knit with my family. I still am. But for me to go to a whole different state where I knew nobody and to just jump on a leap and, hey, I'm going to go here, go to school, play football. And when I could just go to a school that's 30 minutes away from home, an hour away from home, it really made me, I was very scared in that moment. I was excited. I was nervous, but I was very scared because I knew if something critical happened, my family couldn't be here right now.
Sure.
So that was something courageous of me to try to do, something that I knew I wanted to do, but I was very scared in the moment when I decided to do it.
Yeah. So how did you know the school was the right fit for you? What made you feel comfortable to make that step?
What made me feel comfortable about that school is I just felt a lot of the people that I met at a school prior to me going, a lot of people that were going to the school with me, I felt that being around them made me feel comfortable. I felt like they had the same values and they felt the same way I felt. And they had the same type of personality as me, so it made me feel comfortable being around those people when I was going to the school. But also the school had a lot of things that I wanted to have me learn to be the adult that I wanted to be. It had all the classes and curriculum that I wanted to learn for when I wanted to be an adult. And I just felt like I thought that was a great choice for me. And I feel like when it comes to picking a school, what's best for you and not what's best for your parents or what's best for your friends is what's best for you and what's best for that moment. Because even with me, I had the courage. Me and my mom had an argument because she wanted me to go to school in Florida while I went to school in Ohio. And it took me courage to be like, hey, Mom, I understand what you want me to do, but this school is fit for me. And I need to do what's best for me, and not just what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, it's impossible to talk about your story without talking about the courage of your recovery. You shared a little bit in one of our past sessions about a doctor coming in saying, I don't know if you're ever going to walk again, but didn't care about that. He said, I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to move forward. Talk about what that was like and how you found that courage to move through something that's terrifying. And
it was really tough, because like I said before, grit and perseverance is overcoming something that you never did before. And me dealing with this injury, it was extremely tough, extremely hard, but I understood where I wanted to be. And sometimes where you want to be, you have to be very courageous to get there. Sometimes it's just not always walking a straight line or walking on the sidewalk. And I'm not talking about Pittsburgh sidewalks. I'm talking about Florida sidewalks. Florida sidewalks are straight. Pittsburgh sidewalks are hilly. But life is like a Pittsburgh sidewalk or a roller coaster. It starts off smooth. Then you hit a valley, then you hit a peak, and sometimes you do a twist and twirl, you just never know what you're going to get. And I knew for me to get where I wanted to be, to get to the end of the roller coaster, to be the father I wanted to be, I had to take some steps that I knew were going to be difficult. I knew that were going to be hard. I knew that I'd never done it before. But if I wanted to get somewhere, I had to have the courage to at least try it.
Yeah, it's such a big thing. We hear it with students, right? You fail a test and say, hey, this isn't for me, right? But that's not it. If you've got that endpoint goal and you want to become a pilot, it's not that you fail that first test. It's where you're going. What are some great things that you would share with a student in terms of having that long-term focus to get there?
To me, one of the things I would like to share with people is that failure is not always a loss. It's a lesson. A lot of times people see failure or they see an opportunity that didn't go in their favor, then they just want to change up. And sometimes you have to look at it and be like, hey, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should have studied this portion more than I studied that portion. A lot of times people will see something that don't go in their favor and they want to give up. And a lot of times you just have to look at it, hey, when you're always winning, it's hard to see when you messed up. So sometimes you have to look back at your failures to see how you can get better. And I feel that was one way sports definitely help out a lot of players and a lot of people, because a loss, it helps you understand, all right, this is what I have to work on, but when you're winning, you can mess up on something and just understand, like, hey, I can just, that's okay, that's okay. But then later on in your life, that same problem will arise when you don't think, and then now you're not prepared. So when you lose or when you fail, you can look back and like, hey, all right, I didn't focus on this enough, and this was actually more serious than I thought. Let me focus on this, and then you'll understand how important that was for you, but also how fulfilling it is to actually overcome what you felt before.
Yeah. Is there a specific point you could point to as maybe one of those examples in your life when you've had that that moment that you've been really frustrated and it would have been easy to tap out and quit and say I'm done with this, but instead it galvanized you and pushed you forward?
One crazy thing is when I was at Ohio State, I had an awesome second year, and it got extremely tough. It got really tough. The practices were hard. We actually went undefeated that year. But it was just so much pressure, from school, football. I was away from my family, and I was just like, man, obviously I'm a great football player, but I don't know if I want to do this. I might want to go home, But then I talked it over with my parents, and this is where I feel the support system is important. I talked it over with my parents. I was like, man, Dad, Mom, I know I'm a starter. I know I have potential NFL dreams, but I don't know if I want to play football right now, because I feel just extremely stressed out. I don't know if I want to keep pushing forward. And my dad was like, hey, Ryan, you've been playing since you were 5 years old. This is something that you always want to do. I understand you're going through a tough time right now, something that you don't want to do, something that's very stressful to you right now. But once you overcome it, this is going to be extremely fulfilling. And then the next year, I'm a first-round draft pick. And everything came exactly how I wanted. Some people may think, hey, Ryan, you're crazy, but at the end of the day, sometimes stress builds up or sometimes things do get overwhelming for you. Mm-hmm. And I feel it takes courage to actually step up and like, hey, I'm gonna step up in this situation and just push through it instead of, hey, let me just try something new.
Yeah. And something we really pride ourselves on here at CCBC is the support system. We're a small college, and it allows us to have that really close connection. But a lot of it comes down to a student being willing to ask for help and say, I'm going through this stressful situation. Talk about how important that is to tap into that support network, not just from a family perspective, but from an academic perspective. I'm sure you had similar experiences with coaches or with faculty when you were going through school as well.
I know people hate hearing this, but there's no such thing as a dumb question.
Yeah.
People ask questions all the time, and that's how they get answers. If you never ask questions, it's hard to get answers. And I feel when you're asking the faculty, you're asking your teachers, you're asking your fellow students, I feel that that's the best way to help you overcome any situation that you've been in, because majority of the time, the situation that you've been in, somebody's been in it before, and it's a few scenarios where somebody may have not been in it, but majority of the time, somebody you've known has been in some type of situation that's relative to what you're going through. So I think it's always important to ask questions and always important to ask for help, because then it's a lot easier for you to overcome those struggles that you have because you already have a roadmap.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people are like old men in the 80s, they don't want to pull over and ask for help. So now we all have maps on our phone, but asking questions is like a map. If you don't know where you're going, you have to ask the map. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing when you're asking people, it's their roadmap to help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to the students watching in terms of finding that roadmap, figuring out where they want to go? What gets them on that pathway?
For me, I feel the best way to help any student out is to basically ask somebody that's close to you, hey, what helped you understand what you want to be? And then also think about what's important to you. Because at this young age, it's really hard for people to figure out what they want to do in life. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important that they ask questions to people that are close to them, mm-hmm. but also ask questions to people that are their higher ups, the faculties and things like that, to help them understand, hey, what am I good at? Or what do you see that I'm good at that you think I'll do well at? Yeah. And then give that a try. Sometimes people have their mind made up of what they want to do, but then the best job for you might be right over here, and you just don't know it.
Yeah.
So I feel like asking questions, talking to people close to you, but just getting to know others and just getting to know other opportunities, I feel that's the best way to help you succeed.
Yeah. One last piece about that comfort zone, shifting outside that comfort zone. And sometimes it's really hard for a student to, visualize themselves in a career if they've never experienced or they don't have a family member that's been down that path. Talk about that willingness to step outside the comfort zone, having the courage to do it, and why that's so critical.
What's crazy is a lot of people don't understand, but most people actually thrive when they're outside their comfort zone. Yeah. most people want to be in their comfort zone because they understand the situation that they're in. They feel comfortable. It's called your comfort zone. So they understand, hey, I can go to my mom, I can go to my dad, I can go to my friends, and I can use them for help. But me going to Ohio, I didn't have anybody to lean on. I had a few people, teammates, but I didn't know them well enough to, call them family yet. So I had to get out of my comfort zone and, all right, get to know this part of Ohio, get to know this part of Ohio, spend more time with this guy, spend more time with that guy. Then they actually allowed me to understand, all right, I actually like this and I never thought I did. Like I learned once I got to Ohio, I like hockey, but in Florida we don't play hockey, so and obviously when I was younger I was like, man, I would never enjoy that, but I got outside of my comfort zone to actually try something and looked at something that I really enjoyed. And it's the same thing. When I went to school, I thought I wanted to be an engineer, but then I seen how hard it is to be an engineer and play football, so but then I thought about other degrees and I got out of my comfort zone and I got a psychology degree, and I thought it was important for where I wanted to be in life. But I think it's very important that people get outside of their comfort zone to help them understand what the potential that they have.
Well, awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about courage and how important it is to step outside that comfort zone. Everybody will be getting going with the Q&A here in just a few minutes, but thank you again for joining us here at CCBC.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks.
Hi, well, Ryan, it's time for my favorite part of the event, the live Q&A. And I want everyone and to encourage everyone to please put questions in the chat. If you are one of our registered participants and you put a question in the chat, you have the opportunity for some prizes. So we actually have some great gift cards, and Ryan has donated an autographed picture that's going to be sent out to you. So we're super excited about what we have to offer, and we're really excited to get started. Ryan, are you ready? Okay, so the first question we have is from Caleb, and he wants to know, as an athlete, do you follow a specific diet?
As an athlete, I did follow a specific diet. Since I don't play anymore, since I just recently retired, Caleb, I don't really have a strict diet anymore. But when I was an athlete, I did have a really strict diet. I was really dived in on what I ate because what you put into your body is what comes out. So I always wanted to be, the most efficient, and always wanted to have the best food going to my body, and it really helped me out a lot when it came to playing.
And Ryan, do you have a special cheat food that if you are going to cheat that you usually dive into?
I'm sorry.
God bless you.
Thank you. The cheat food that I used to eat a lot when I was playing, it will either be powdered donuts or Oreos.
Well, I think those are two great options for you to have. We have a question coming in from Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. And she wants to know, was it hard to balance the workload?
Sometimes it depends. Some days, Nicole, it's easy. You understand what you have, you understand your task. But other days it can be a lot more difficult. Some days you might just get overwhelmed with some of the challenges, and then at the end of the day, it's kind of your mindset and how you feel throughout that day. Some days you can overcome and achieve anything. Then some days, you're just really stressed out, and it's a lot harder for you to achieve certain goals. So the workload is hard no matter what you're doing, but it's just depending on how you're feeling that day, Nicole, and how much things are presented to you.
Okay, great. We have another question. This is from Liz. What's the Aviation Academy course load look like? And is it all simulation, or do you get experiential learning training too? Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and take this question since it's pretty specific to CCBC. So the Aviation Academy course load, we think is very doable for a high school student. You would come to the high school academies 1 day per week, and for a semester, you would be gaining 7 credits. So it's about 3 classes, but you come in daily for about 2 hours and you take the classes. In the past year, we've done virtual online learning. So the students actually could do the coursework from the comfort of their home or home school and actually participate in the class, see their instructor, just like we're seeing here, talk to their classmates online. So it worked out very well for them. Let me pop over to the simulation or experiential learning piece of things. So we do have amazing simulators. They're Redbird simulators out at our Aviation Science Center, where students can actually get in the simulators and simulate flying, takeoffs, landing, weather conditions, and it's very real life. I've actually been in one myself, and it's pretty amazing. And we also do experiential learning because we work directly with flight schools, where students can actually sign on board with the flight schools once they've completed the appropriate coursework, and they will actually be up live flying in real planes. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, I have another question here, and this is actually from JC, and this question is for you, Ryan. I was injured playing sports in high school. What did you do to motivate yourself to keep going and power on when you were hurt?
So were you? I really never got hurt when I was in high school, in college. But one thing that helped me in the NFL, I've been through a lot of adversity in general. I did get hurt in high school. I had hurt my shoulder. But I feel like I've been through a lot of adversity in my life, and I feel like everybody in this chat has been through a lot of adversity. And I feel all the adversity that we've been through has built us for anything that that's coming up. And what I mean by that, I had scoliosis as a young child, and I was told before that I might not never get to play football, but I ended up making it to the NFL. I had alopecia. Less than 20% of people have alopecia, so I had to always deal with something different than everybody else. And then just trying to make it to the NFL and play sports, the chances of making it to the professional level is extremely hard. So I always felt like I was against the odds. So when I got hurt, I just felt like it was just another injury that I overcome, or it was another thing that was in my way, another obstacle. And I just chose to treat this like I treated anything else in my life. And I feel like that really helped me when it came to being able to push forward and fight through adversity.
Ryan, did you ever experience any bullying when you were younger based on the alopecia, and what kind of tools did you use to deal with that?
So I did deal with bullying a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot because it's a lot harder to bully the kid that's bigger than you, because I was naturally bigger than most people. But it was difficult sometimes. Like older kids, they will say, I'm the kid with cancer, or they will just talk about me with not having hair. And my parents, they always told me, "Hey, Ryan, there's nothing wrong with you. You just don't have hair." Everybody has something going on in their life. We just don't know about it. The only thing that's different between you and them is that they see what's going on in your life and you can't see what's going on in theirs. And when I learned that, it really helped me out a lot. And then also my parents told me if somebody is attacking you for no reason, they have a sense of lack of self-esteem in themselves. It's something about themselves that's making them come out and try to degrade you or talk down on you because you didn't do anything to them.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. That's very insightful. We have a question from Nick. I have a college degree, but sometimes I feel like I could benefit from pushing myself to learn again. Are there options at CCBC where I could take a single class and further my education just a little bit? So, Ryan, I feel like we can maybe tag team on this one. So, I know you've been back to college recently. I don't know if you want to share anything about that, and then I can share some options from CCBC.
Well, Nick, from a guy that wasn't in college, then went back to college, it's not as easy as it was. And I'm not going to say that college is hard. It's just, when you're in college, you're kind of like all in, you're all dived in. You don't have a job, you don't have things that's going on. So when you have a family with kids and diving back into college, it was a little more difficult for me. I don't know your situation, but I definitely was happy that I did it. I definitely was happy that I was able to get some more continued education. Some of those things that I used, 2 years ago, a year ago, that I learned from Pitt, I still use to this day. So whenever it comes to learning, it's never too much. So if you are excited about learning and want to continue to, grow mentally and educationally, I think it's always important to try to strive for that.
And Nick, from the CCBC side, let me say we welcome all students here at CCBC, both traditional, non-traditional, and high school students. So we would love to have you come talk with us. We can talk about what your future pathway might look like. And we would certainly want to afford you the opportunity to take one course with us and try us out. You can try us out online. You can take a course in person, and we can talk about all the pathways we offer into careers, or also just enhancing the current career that you have. So I would ask you to contact myself and my team. You can find us at ccbc.edu. Look under the High School Academies. Again, my name is Joyce Sorelli. I know this may not be my area, but we will get you to where you need to be, and we would love to get you signed up for a course. Okay, the next question is from Adele. Ryan, you mentioned in the last event that you were jumping into entrepreneurship. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing? And did you ever imagine when going through school that you'd be starting your own business?
Thank you, Adele. When I was playing, I definitely always thought that I would want to own something, want to be my own, boss and own my own business. But I never knew what I wanted to do. I never had a real clear idea. And right now, I'm really excited because I'm about to start a transportation company. It's going to be I actually have a few companies that I'm involved in, but I'm really excited about this one. It's a transportation company that's going to allow people to transport their cars from wherever they want to go on the East Coast. So pretty much anywhere from Florida to New York, Chicago, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, anywhere east of the Mississippi besides Maine and I'm adding Louisiana. We'll be able to transport their cars to them. So I'm really excited about that because I'm always wanted to become a business owner. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, that sounds very exciting, Ryan, and I hope to hear more about that soon. I have another question for you from Jordan. What kind of music do you like to listen to?
Hey, Jordan, I like to. It depends on the day. Some days I'm a very, very, very heavy listener to hip hop and rap, and then some other days I listen to pop, and some days I listen to country. But it's more on my mood and how I'm feeling in that day. But I like to switch up a lot. But if I had a go-to, it would probably be hip hop and rap.
And in follow-up to that from Jordan, what was your jam for getting ready for a big game?
Man, I had a playlist of about 8 songs that I would play in a row. Then I would just let it, like I always had 8 songs that I started off with. And then I always had everything else just play on scramble. But one of the first songs that I would listen to is always a Drake song. Then I would listen to some more other hip hop songs, and then my last song I always listen to was a spiritual song. It was called "Melodies from Heaven." That's one of my favorite songs. It's a gospel song. So I pretty much listen to a gospel song every time I left and got on the field.
That's awesome, Ryan. And Ryan, did you have any like little superstitions or anything that you did before going out on the field? I know there's a lot of players that, they have their playlist, they have to eat the same food, they have to tie their shoes the same way. Is there anything like that you did, or did you just kind of freelance?
I had a few, but the biggest thing that I did every game, it was two things I did every game. One of them, my teammates thought I was crazy. So one of them is before every game, it doesn't matter when the game is, where the game was at. I had to make sure I talked to my dad before the game started. Like, it doesn't matter. I always, like, it will be having a team prayer. They'd be like, "Hey, Ryan Shazier is about to run out the tunnel." I wouldn't run out the tunnel until I heard my dad. Like, I talked to my dad, and we'll pray before every game. So that's one thing that I did before every game. And then another thing that I did before every game is we'll go out there and warm up. Then we'll come back into the locker room. I'm sorry, I'm about to sneeze.
Bless you.
I'm so sorry.
It's allergy season.
Yeah, we'll come back into the locker room, and one thing I would do is I would literally take all my clothes back off, all my pads, and then literally just like put a whole new outfit back on. Like, it just like that was completely clean, because sometimes you'll get dirty a little bit and sweaty. So I would like literally take everything off and then put like a whole new outfit right back on. And while everybody else kept their same stuff on. So sometimes there'll be like Ryan Shazier, coming out the tunnel, and it's like I'll literally still be like tying my shoes and like, pulling my helmet down and things like that before I'm even ready to go out.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Ryan. We have another question. This is from Kristen. What are some of your small daily habits you never want to stray away from, and how do they help you in your day-to-day?
So are we talking about when I was playing, or are we talking about now? Because that's the biggest thing. So if we're talking about now, some of my biggest daily habits is pretty much I like to try to get up every morning, get a coffee, and read my daily devotional, and read my it's like a leadership book I have that pretty much just says, all right, if you have a company, this is how you should always want to help somebody. You should always try to provide good attitude. You should always try to uplift people. Something that try to gets me in a good mood before every day. But when I played, one of the daily routines I used to wake up at 4 in the morning, work out at 4:45, and I used to watch film at 6 a.m. And that was a daily habit I had every day to help me make sure I just sharpen my sword for my craft.
Thank you, Ryan. I think that's a great plan, and it gave some good tips from when you were playing and also what you're doing now. Ryan, can you share, and this is from Mac, who was your favorite Steeler from the 70s, the Steel Curtain era?
Oh, man. So everybody loves Joe Green. Everybody loves Franco Harris. And Jack Lambert gets a lot of love, but a guy I liked it a lot was Jack Ham. And the reason I liked him because he was really good at turning the ball over. He was really good at forcing turnovers and really getting your team back the ball. One thing that I really tried to strive on in my career was trying to give my team back the ball, because the more opportunities the offense has, the more opportunities we have to score and to win the game. So that's one thing that he did a great job of, and I used to love from him when I used to watch film of him.
Thank you. That's great. So Ryan, another question we have for you is, this is from Mickey. What is your favorite Pittsburgh restaurant?
My favorite Pittsburgh restaurant, it's a place called Jimmy Wan's. It's a Chinese restaurant. If we're talking about like Pittsburgh, like Yinzer food, then I would have to say, Hmm. I like Vicelli's Pizza, but if I had to just a favorite restaurant in Pittsburgh in general is Jimmy Wan's.
Okay. So tell me, what do you get something specific every time you go, or do you switch it up?
I do switch it up sometimes, but it's normally I get a Longhorn pepper flank steak. It's really spicy with egg fried rice. It's extremely spicy, but it's a really good meal.
Very good. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. I'm going to try that the next time I go because I love Jimmy Wan's and I've never had that. So that's a great tip for me. So I have a question from Nicole. Questions for us both. What is each of your biggest bits of advice to someone who wants to find success in their career journey? So Ryan, I'm going to let you take it first and then I'll hop in when you're done.
I feel like my biggest advice for somebody that is trying to have success in their career is for you to stay patient and be persistent. A lot of times people feel like they should be successful from the moment they start, and they only done it for 2 or 3 months and just feel like, hey, I'm supposed to be rolling with gas, but nothing of great value or great success happens easy. So I feel like the biggest thing is just to continue to push forward and understand that you're going to have some bumps and bruises along the way. But the harder you push, the longer you stay in the game, the more success comes your way.
I'm going to just try to circle back in on the entire series, Nicole, and just say to you, I think all of the things we've talked about are very important. And so grit being number one is just being determined and continuing to move forward regardless of the obstacles. For me personally, it's really finding your passion. If you find your passion at work, you'll never feel like you're working, or even in school moving forward. I love my job. I love what I do. I love my team because I'm passionate about the mission. Perseverance, at all odds, you're not always going to be successful at every single piece of the puzzle that you're putting together on your educational pathway, but you have to just keep persevering. And then to me, most importantly, is to have guts. Don't be afraid. Get out there, give it a try. You're going to get no's. You're going to get things that don't work. But if you never ask, you'll never know. And you have to just keep trying. Okay, I have another question here for Ryan. This is from Nala. Ryan, do you have children? And if so, what is your favorite book to read to them?
Yeah, I do have children, and my favorite book to read to them is I don't know the exact name of it, but it's called the like the green underwear or the I forgot the name of it. It's a book. It's a nighttime book. This kid has a pair of like green underwear, but they like glow in the dark. I think it's called My Green Underwear or My Glow in the Dark Underwear or something like that. I like that book a lot.
That's awesome. I've never heard of that book, so I'm going to see if I can find it to read to my grandchildren. So I'm going to be looking that up. A follow-up to that question is, do you do a lot of reading? And if so, what books do you like to read?
I I go back and forth when it comes to reading. My goal this year is to try to read 15 books. I'm at about 7 right now. And I try to read a little bit about everything that I'm trying to get better at. So one of the books I'm reading right now is The Art of Public Speaking. Another book I'm reading about right now is just about trucking businesses. Another book I recently read is called The 5 Next Moves, Your 5 Next Moves. And it's pretty much like playing chess in life. You have to understand, all right, if I make this move, or what are the 5 next things that possibly can happen? What are the 5 next steps? And I really like that book a lot because it kind of helps you just understand, all right, when you make decisions, what are the 5 next steps for each decision that you make?
Well, thank you. That's great. So I don't believe we have any additional questions that I haven't answered. So Ryan, I'm really sad to say this is our final event for the Grit series. I have personally enjoyed working with you and learning from you, and just found everything you're doing to be so inspirational. We've talked about passion, perseverance, and guts. And do you have any final words of wisdom for our guests today?
So I remember the book is The Creepy Pair of Underwear. All right. And the one thing I had to say for the group is the biggest thing about is achieving anything in life is that you have to have passion, guts, grit, and purpose to just move forward. It's really hard. Some of the things that you might encounter, sometimes they may feel a little overwhelming, but as long as you have a little bit of guts, a little bit of passion, and belief in what you want to achieve, a positive mindset can help you get through all of that. And I think once you put all those things together, that just equals success. So I think as long as you just believe that you can make it and believe that you can push through anything, you will.
That's great. Well, I'd like to encourage everyone that's on today to follow their passion, to persevere, have the guts to reach out and take that next step. For our high school academy students or soon to be students, please reach out to us. We look forward to working with you and getting you on to an educational pathway to a high demand career with family sustaining wages. So don't be late. Don't be a late worm. Be an early worm. The early worm gets the early bird gets the worm. So please make sure that you reach out to us. We're here to help you, and we want to get you on the best educational pathway possible. Thank you all, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, guys.